Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I am Tom, and today we're going to continue talking about the echoes of Greek myths in modern language. Remember, an echo in this particular case means a leftover sound, leftover stories that we still hear, even though Greek and Roman civilization, both of them have disappeared for many centuries, but they still have left behind some echoes of their language and of their phrases and their expressions. And we talked about some last time. We talked about Achilles' heel, which is like your flaw, your problem that people might want to exploit. We talked about a Trojan horse, which could be something that appears beneficial, but could actually be very dangerous. And then we talked about something called Scylla and Charybdis, which isn't really common. The more common way to express this is to be between a rock and a hard place.
Right. So today we're going to move on and talk about some more. We've got some very famous ones today. Pandora's box, and Herculean effort, or it's a Herculean task or job that you've been given. And of course, the Midas touch. Maybe some of you are familiar with people who have the Midas touch. Before we talk about what that is, we're going to listen to today's lesson read aloud one time. Pandora's box. To punish Prometheus for stealing fire from heaven, Zeus crafted a trap by creating Pandora, the first mortal woman. Zeus gifted her to Prometheus's brother Epimetheus. Along with the box she was forbidden to open. However, Pandora heard a strange noise coming from the box. Driven by curiosity, she opened it, and all the world's troubles escaped. This story inspired the idiom to signify actions that seem trivial but trigger numerous unforeseen complications. Labors of Hercules. Hercules, famous for his extraordinary strength, was Zeus's son with a mortal woman. Cursed by Hera, Zeus's envious wife, Hercules killed his own wife and children. To seek redemption, he consulted Apollo and was tasked with 12 difficult labors, including slaying the 9-headed Hydra. These tasks, known as the labors of Hercules, symbolize exceptionally challenging jobs. These days, we also use Herculean to describe anything requiring strength and determination, such as a Herculean task or Herculean effort. The Midas touch. Midas was a greedy king in Greek mythology. By helping Dionysus, the god of wine and pleasure, he earned a wish. Midas wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. Initially thrilled, he soon realized his gift was a curse when he could neither eat nor drink. Even his daughter turned to gold at his touch. Eventually, Midas recognized his mistake and begged Dionysus to remove the golden touch. Over time, the moral of the story has faded. Now, the Midas touch refers to someone who succeeds in everything, especially in financial matters. Now that you've explored these tales of gods and heroes, why not start incorporating these phrases into your everyday conversations? Let the legends live on in your words.
Okay, everybody, let's dive right in and explain these new expressions that come from Greek mythology. The first one is Pandora's box. Okay, Pandora, of course, is from Greek mythology, and we all know about Pandora's box. Let's explain this story to you. I think a lot of people don't really know the whole story. We just know, Pandora's box, that's probably something that's bad. If you open up the box, bad things come out. But we need to know the whole story here, so let's talk about various people here. We've got Zeus and we've got Prometheus. So to punish Prometheus for stealing fire from heaven, Zeus crafted a trap by creating Pandora, the first mortal woman, which means she's the first woman who's actually a human being and not a god. And if you're mortal, that means you cannot live forever. You're going to die someday.
That's right. This one we use quite a bit, don't we? Pandora's box. Don't open that. Ooh, bad things will come out. So we've got some names here. Prometheus, which is kind of an interesting one. And we've got Pandora's not so hard to say. Zeus, that's how you pronounce that one. And then Prometheus's brother, who I don't remember this name, but you're going to hear it. And that's Epimetheus, and Prometheus. And they're brothers. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more. So as Tom said, Zeus crafted a trap. A trap is when you do something to deceive someone and capture them in some way. And he wanted to create a trap. He created a trap by creating Pandora and this box that she had. And as Tom said, she was the first mortal woman. Most of these stories in Greek and Roman mythology, we're talking about supernatural characters. They don't have mortal blood in them, most of them. Some do every once in a while, and you have to pay attention because they aren't quite as powerful as those that are supernatural. So Zeus, of course, is really powerful, and he gifted her, Pandora, to Prometheus's brother, Epimetheus, along with a box. So it was Zeus that gave Epimetheus the box. And Pandora was forbidden to open this box. If you're forbidden from doing something, or someone forbids you, that's a verb form, to forbid someone, it means they tell you, you cannot do this. Usually we use this to talk about parents telling their young children, I forbid you to, go out late at night, or I forbid you to use this. It will hurt you. They will forbid you or ban you from doing something.
Exactly. So again, we've got Zeus. He knew where the fire was, but Prometheus figured out how to get it from Zeus. Zeus was pretty angry about that, so he gave Pandora to the world. Actually, he gave her to Epimetheus, who is Prometheus's brother. Hey, I'm going to do something to your brother here as a way to punish you. And then Pandora had a box, but she could not open it. She was forbidden to open the box. She was not allowed. The box was banned from her. However, Pandora heard a strange noise coming from the box. So she thought, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to open this box, but gee, there's a sound inside the box, and it sounds kind of interesting. I'd like to know what it is. And so curiosity got the best of her, and she opened up the box.
You just reminded me of another idiom that we have related to curiosity, and that is curiosity killed the cat.
Oh, no.
So sometimes your curiosity will get you in trouble. So be careful. You could be curious about something, but that doesn't mean you have to check it out. It could be dangerous, especially if you don't know what you're dealing with or what you're walking into. And this was Pandora's problem. Oh, what's that strange noise? And her curiosity got the best of her. If something gets the best of you, it overcomes you and kind of takes control. And so she ended up making a really bad decision. She was driven or pushed by her curiosity, and she finally opened it. And what was inside? Oh, bad news.
Right.
All the world's troubles escaped. You can tell this is a myth because this is kind of fantasy land, that all the troubles of the world would be contained in one small box.
Right, which would be insects, disease, accidents, all that stuff.
War, yeah,
all that stuff escaped, and now we all have that stuff because of Pandora and her curiosity.
Darn.
And this story inspired the idiom to signify actions that seem trivial but trigger numerous unforeseen complications. So that's what it means now, Pandora's box. Oh, you've really opened Pandora's box now, which means you did something that seems trivial, but it actually caused big trouble. So if something signifies something, it just indicates it, or it means that thing, it represents that thing. And if something's trivial, well, it's not really that important. We have trivial details that we need to take care of in our daily lives. We need to wash the dishes. We need to hang up our raincoats and stuff. Oh, it's so trivial. We have to do these things every day. We have to bathe. We have to wash our hands. We have to brush our teeth. Oh,
every day.
It's so trivial. It's not very important, but we have to do it. And yes, our actions may seem trivial, but we could have really bad consequences as a result of those trivial actions.
I wanted to point out, do you see this word to signify?
I do.
Yeah, look at signify, which is a verb that means to point out or demonstrate something here. The word sign is in this word. Sign is the noun, signify is the verb. That's very different because suddenly you've got that hard G sound, signify. So to signify actions that seem trivial, this story was inspired, the idiom was inspired to signify actions that seem like, oh, no big deal, but then you do it and you're like, oh. One time I had a piece of thread hanging off a pair of pants that I love, and I thought, oh, I'll just pull the thread. And I pulled the thread, and it ruined the whole pair of pants.
Oh, no.
Oh, I was so upset.
You had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I had to learn the hard way. So be careful. Sometimes these little trivial things or actions that you do have big consequences. Moving on to the next one. What's that one, Tom?
The labors of Hercules. Okay, labor means hard work, and a single job that's difficult to do could be called a labor. We have a labor of love, for example. Sometimes people do things, they're not going to get paid for it.
Raising your children.
Right, it's a labor of love. You don't really get anything back from it financially, but still you want to work on it because you just enjoy it.
You get lots of love back.
You get something from it. And so these are the labors of Hercules, something that Hercules had to do. And Hercules, famous for his extraordinary strength, was Zeus's son with a mortal woman. Okay, so I guess Zeus had quite a few lovers with various people, and so he had a son with a mortal woman, a human woman, and cursed by Hera, Zeus's envious wife, Hercules killed his own wife and children. So here, Hera was kind of angry at Hercules, so she cursed him, and as a result, Hercules had to kill his own wife and children. I guess he didn't know what he was doing because he was cursed, which means there was some sort of magic put on his head, and he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, if you curse someone, and here we're not talking about using bad language and telling someone off because you're angry at them. This is someone who supposedly has magic powers. And they say some words and they put this evil spell on you, which leads to bad things in your future. So, cursed by Hera, Zeus's envious wife. Envious is another word for jealous. His wife was really jealous. And so Hercules ended up killing his own wife and children because of the curse. So it kind of changed the way he was thinking about life, and it led him to do some awful things. Killing your own wife and children is pretty horrible.
Well, it makes it look like he's the horrible one, but remember, Hera is the one who put the curse
on him.
But maybe whoever made Hera angry should be responsible as well. We don't really know, but in any case, he was cursed by her. Some sort of magic was passed on him, and if you're envious, you're jealous. Jealous usually is used when we talk about maybe lovers. You know, like the girl you like actually likes somebody else, so you're jealous.
Or your boyfriend's really jealous if you talk to another guy.
Right, so that's usually used with romance, jealous. But envious means you're really sad because somebody else has something that you don't have, like maybe an expensive car or a really great job, or they've been all over the world and you haven't. So yeah, I'm really envious of your lifestyle.
Yeah, I use 羡慕 when I talk about being envious of someone's talent or skill or just some really wonderful trait that they have. Maybe they're very kind. I'm very 羡慕 about that. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy story here. Well, to seek redemption, Hercules knows he did something horrible. And to kind of make up for that, redemption is trying to save your soul after doing something horrible. And I would say killing your wife and your kids is pretty horrible. So to seek or search out or try to find redemption, he consulted someone named Apollo. To consult someone, it just means you go to someone who supposedly has a lot of knowledge in a particular field. That person is named a consultant. So he went to get advice from Apollo. You could say that. So he consulted Apollo, and then Apollo advised him. If you give advice, you advise someone else. And Apollo gave him 12 very, very difficult tasks he had to achieve or accomplish. And one of them included killing or slaying the 9-headed Hydra.
Okay, so that was one task that Apollo gave to Hercules in order to be forgiven for his crime of killing his wife and children. And we'll continue talking about this story, which is kind of complicated, in just a couple of seconds. So let's take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone， 我是派老师，今天讲解的是 Unit2 第2天的课程内容。我们继续学习最后3个和希腊神话典故相关的片语，那分别是 Pandora's Box、Labors of Hercules， 还有 The Midas Touch。那分别代表呢，就是会带来后患无穷的事情、艰巨的任务，最后呢，就是点石成金的能力。好，我们一起来看学习重点吧。那我们先看到第一个 Pandora's Box， 那请同学特别注意到的是第2个句子 Zeus gifted her， 那这个 her 所指的呢，当然是什么？就是前面的 Pandora， 她是第一个凡人的女性。好，请同学注意的是 gift， 我们知道可以当名词用，是礼物的意思，但是呢，当作动词比较少见，是吧？那这里的意思呢，就是把后面的这个受词当作礼物送给 to 后面这个对象。好，所以呢，宙斯把 Pandora 当作礼物送给了后面的伊比米修斯。好，那再来呢，我们请看一下第4个句子。这个 Pandora 这位女性呢，她在好奇心驱使之下，同样的，这也是一个分词构句。She was driven by curiosity。 那由于这个句子没有连接词，那没有连接词的话，我们不可以说 She was driven by curiosity, she opened it， 硬要把它放在同一个句子。那所以我们才做了分词构句 Driven by curiosity, she opened it。 好，那 Pandora 把这个盒子打开之后，发生了什么事呢？一些烦恼会困扰世界的这些东西啊，全部都跑出来了。好 ，This story inspired the idiom。 原来啊，我们讲 Pandora's Box， 它的来源就是前面所说的。那象征的到底是什么呢？也就是说，你做了一件事情，结果呢，这件事情带来的后患无穷。好，那原本呢，你可能是没有想到的 ，It triggers numerous unforeseen complications。 好，这些 unforeseen 就是你没有预料到的。好，再来我们看到第2段的部分呢，介绍的是另外一个片语 Labors of Hercules。 就是力大无穷、力大无比的海克力士。那怎么样呢？原来啊，他是宙斯的儿子，宙斯跟一个凡人所生的。第2个句子一样是过去分词构句。这个 Hercules 怎么样呢？ Cursed by Hera。 那原来啊，这个海克力士呢，他其实是受到诅咒的。谁诅咒他呢？原来是宙斯的正宫。那宙斯的正宫呢，其实因为宙斯到处拈花惹草，所以呢，他常常会吃醋，是个 envious wife。 其实呢，同学就可以理解为像我们平常说的 jealous。She got jealous， 那他呢就吃醋就诅咒这个宙斯在外面生的小孩嘛。好，那后来受到诅咒的海克力斯发生了什么事呢？杀害了自己的妻小。那第3个句子我们看到，他为了要寻求自己的救赎，那为了赎罪呢，怎么样？ He consulted Apollo， 他就去跟这个阿波罗请示他。那后来被赋予了12项非常困难的任务，请同学把 he was tasked with 画起来。他被赋予12项非常困难的任务，被赋予这样的工作。
We're going to take a short break now, but please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, guys. It's day 2 of our Greek myths in modern language. We talked about Pandora's box, which is kind of doing something that seems rather trivial or small or unimportant to you, but the consequences are pretty bad. You don't expect them. They're unforeseen. You didn't predict them. You couldn't have seen them in the future, but they happened. So be careful. Don't open Pandora's box if you can prevent that or avoid it. The second one we are still in the midst of, and that's Labors of Hercules. Hercules, of course, was really famous for being so strong, super, super strong, huge muscles, all the paintings and drawings of Hercules always show this really tall, very, very built guy who's got tons of muscles. Well, he was Zeus's son with a mortal woman. And then we move on. We don't know the mortal woman's name, but cursed by Hera, Zeus's envious wife, Hercules killed his own wife and children. So here we find out that Hera had magical powers and put a curse on Hercules, which made him want to kill his own wife and children. Ooh. Is that correct, Tom? Did I get that right?
I think so. It's kind of complicated. It's kind of convoluted, as we say sometimes if things are really complicated. But again, let's just say Hera was pretty mad because her husband Zeus had an affair with a mortal woman, and she wanted to get revenge on that mortal woman's children, or her son, Hercules. So she cursed him, and he killed his own wife and children. Well, he felt bad about that. So to seek redemption, to seek forgiveness, he consulted Apollo and was tasked with difficult labors, 12 of them, including slaying the 9-headed Hydra. To slay just means to kill. Usually in poetry or literature, you don't say that in everyday speech. And these tasks, known as the labors of Hercules, symbolize exceptionally challenging jobs. So if you hear that phrase, the labors of Hercules, you're just talking about jobs that are really, really challenging and really, really difficult to do.
Right. Herculean. I've heard people say Herculean, but most people say Herculean tasks. I think that will be easier for you guys to learn.
I've heard Herculean before, too.
I haven't heard that one.
But I think Herculean is more common. And yes, indeed, if it's something that's very difficult, you could say it's Herculean, which could be something that requires strength and determination. And that is a Herculean task or a Herculean effort. So you might hear some people say, gee, can you stay after work today and work on this project? Oh, that's quite a Herculean task there, boss. I need to go home and be with my wife. My son is giving a presentation at a school play or something. I can't, it's really Herculean to ask me of that, but ask that of me. But in any case, you can think of other examples in which that might be used when the job is really difficult. Let's move on now to the next one. It's called the Midas Touch. Midas, I remember, is a famous brand of automotive repair stores that give you mufflers, or they change your oil.
In America, yeah.
Yeah, Midas mufflers. A muffler, of course, is something on your car so it doesn't make a really loud noise. But in this particular case, we're talking about the Midas from Greek mythology.
Yeah, so he was a very greedy king. He loved money. He just thought he never could get enough money. He wanted more than his fair share. By helping Dionysus, the god of wine and pleasure, it earned little Midas a wish. Remember, we're talking about magical stories here. So what did Midas wish for? He wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. Ooh, that would make you rich if everything you put your hands on magically turned to gold. Initially, or at first, he was thrilled. If you're thrilled, you're so very happy. It's hard not to, just smile and laugh and feel like life is great when you're thrilled about something. So if something great happens to you, don't say, oh, I'm so happy. Just say, I'm thrilled. That's even happier than happy, right? So he soon realized, though, that this gift was actually a curse, something that brought bad things into his life, because he found out he couldn't eat or drink. Now, notice if you say he could neither, then you must use nor. He could neither eat nor drink. But if you don't use neither, you could say when he could not eat or drink. So remember, neither nor. So here, he couldn't do anything. Anytime he put his hands on something, it turned to gold. And that sure doesn't keep you filled and not, quench your thirst. So he's always thirsty and hungry here.
Exactly. So that's a curse. It's something that's bad, even though it sounded good at the beginning. And even his daughter turned to gold at his touch. Hey, daughter, you're back from school. Give me a hug. But then, of course, when he touched her, she turned to gold. And that, of course, probably made him very sad.
Yeah.
And eventually, in the end, finally, after a long period of time, Midas recognized his mistake and begged Dionysus to remove the golden touch. So he realized that, yeah, it's a good thing to be with all this gold, but all the things I love turn to gold too. That means they're useless. So he's got the Midas touch. And over time, or you could also say eventually, the moral of the story has faded. Okay, so most people don't really think about the moral of the story. Be careful of what you want. You just might get it. I think it might describe a situation like that.
Yeah.
Now, the Midas touch refers to someone who succeeds in everything, especially in financial matters. So, for example, I could say, oh, Mr. Lee is really good at the stock market. He's got the Midas touch. Every stock he invests in makes money. Unfortunately, later on, people found out that he was guilty of insider trading. But sometimes, of course, if somebody's really good at making money, they've got the Midas touch.
Yes, hopefully they're doing it in the right way and they're not cheating or trying to cheat someone else out of a financial gain, hopefully. So now that we've explored these tales of gods and heroes, why not start incorporating these phrases into your everyday conversations? To incorporate means you take something and you add it into something else, so it's all in there. Maybe you finished a report for school or a report for your boss, and there's some more information that emerges that you didn't know about, and you take that new information and you try to incorporate it into what you've already written so that you have everything you need and you'll get a good grade or maybe a raise from your boss for doing such a great job on some report you've written for him.
Exactly. And of course, we've only touched the surface, only scratched the surface of some of these phrases from Greek mythology. Of course, we've got all sorts of phrases from Roman mythology, and we could deal with that at another time, like all roads lead to Rome, or being struck by Cupid's arrow. Those, of course, are from Rome and not Greek, but we've been focusing on Greek phrases in our lesson today and yesterday, and I think I've learned a lot myself as well.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know about, what's it called? Between Scylla and,
Charybdis.
Charybdis, Scylla and Charybdis. Again, guys, don't use that phrase. No one will understand you, but do use between a rock and a hard place. If you have a really tough decision coming up and both options seem like they're not so great, yeah, you're between a rock and a hard place.
And of course, there are lots of equally interesting stories from Chinese mythology or Japanese or Indian or whatever. Check those out as well. It's a lot of fun learning about how people describe things in our daily lives. Well, that brings us to the end of our explanation, but we still need to hear from our Chinese teacher once again.
好，那我们来看一下，所以时至今日，我们听到 Herculean task 的时候，同学就要知道这是一种非常有挑战的任务。好，再来第三个，也就是我们最后的一个片语 The Midas touch 到底是什么呢？ Midas 请同学特别注意哦，其实他在希腊神话里面呢，原本是国王，而且相当的贪婪。那他呢，曾经呢帮助过酒神，那结果呢，他就希望能够这个获得一个心愿，满足的心愿。Initially thrilled， 那这个国王呢，一开始的时候非常的开心，因为他获得了一根金手指，就是点石成金的手指。He soon realized， 他后来就发现，原来这一项特异功能 ，it was a curse。怎么说呢？有了这个可以点石成金的手指头以后，就 he couldn't eat， he couldn't drink。好，那再来，甚至于他自己的女儿也都变成了黄金。那他就后悔了，希望呢不要再有这个金手指了。所以我们看到第6个句子 eventually 这边，那他希望这个酒神呢移除，就是等于是让他的手指恢复正常，不要再像之前一样能够点石成金了。请看第7个句子 over time， 随着时间的推移 the moral of the story has faded。 那这个故事呢，其实要让我们知道人不要太贪心，可是这个寓意，这个故事的寓意 the moral of the story， 其实很多人已经呢遗忘了。 the moral of the story has faded， 这个寓意已经淡化了。好，那我们来看一下这个 the Midas touch 在现代的英文是什么意思呢？ 其实呢，反而是指说，只要是跟钱有关系的，那假设有个人呢，他就是很容易在这方面取得成功的话，我们就会运用到这个片语。那比方说啦，老师造一个句子 ，Our new CEO has a real Midas touch。这个新的执行长啊，他呢真的是有这个点石成金的能力。Since she started, our company's profits have skyrocketed。那自从他接任之后呢，公司啊的利润呢就增加了非常的多，非常的赚钱。好，那再来我们看到第4段，等于是最后的部分了，请看到第一句。同学可以试着把以上所学呢应用到自己平常的生活，所以请看 Why not start incorporating these phrases into your everyday conversations？ 请同学把 incorporate 和 into 画起来，就是把 A 融入 B， 在 into 后面的这个 B， 把什么东西融入后面的，你就可以说 incorporate these phrases into your everyday conversations。以上是我们针对第2天课文内容所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
Well, that's all the time we have for today, guys. We sure hope you learned a lot of useful new expressions. I think they're fun, and you will really impress some people if you pull these out. Make sure you know how to use them correctly, though. There's so many good tools on the internet these days for you to check out a sentence to see if you've written it correctly. You can do that. I know ChatGPT is free. You can use that and it'll tell you. Although you can't always trust ChatGPT. I was asking it for some information. I knew the answer and it was wrong. So be careful with that. But it's a good place to check your grammar on some sentences you want to put together. And you can also check out more English help on our Facebook and YouTube channel. So we encourage you to do that as well. That's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us for English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I am Tom. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.